I really like it when a game merges genres together that you don't often see or hear about and does something unique and interesting. Even if it doesn't necessarily stick the landing perfectly, it offers a unique and personal experience that normally carries personality with it. And that's how I would describe Void Grimm. Void Grimm is a deck building roguelike game, but instead of it being in turn-based strategy terms, which is what most of the genre is, everything takes place in real time. Your card deck are your weapons, your defences and your buffs for your ship as you go into battle in wave after wave of enemies. Survive the wave of enemies, you get to pick from one of 3 new cards to add to your deck or choose to take some money with you. Money is important because after every 3 or 4 rounds you will get to go to the shop, and in doing so you can then buy with the cash that you've collected permanent upgrades for the base stats of your ship, or hire some crew that bring extra buffs that will shape how your ship looks and feels. And by this I mean, do you want to increase your HP? Do you want to increase your shield? Do you want to focus on shield regeneration so that as you get pummeled with attacks, it will constantly replenish at a faster rate? Or would you rather go in more aggressively and focus on damage instead so that you can get to the enemies before they get to you? It could be that you hire crew that affect the cooldown rates of all of your cards, because every time you use a card, it could be that you've got really long cooldown periods before you can use it or swap out your cards for something else. And this means that you're going to be open to fire. So it's all very well being heavy-handed with your damage, but you're effectively building your ship out to be like one of those heavy, hard-hitter, slow type of enemies, rather than being a nimble, fast, but maybe a little bit more pecky and less effective on the damage side. All of these different loadouts are totally viable, and it's up to your playstyle and the cards that you select and create to get the most efficient and effective card deck whilst being quick on the draw with what you do. Each game devolves into a set of almost reactivity when you're playing through the game. You'll get the 6 cards that you're going to be playing laid out before you, and each one has asterisks in them in yellow. This is ammo, and this means that you can use this card a set amount of times until all the asterisks are gone, and then your card will essentially sit there going through its discard cooldown before you right click on the card and it will pull away and the next card will kind of come back into play. Your hand is chosen randomly from the deck that you have personally curated, and no deck carries over from run to run, so you'll always start out from the same type of thing from scratch. Depending on the difficulty level will depend on the type of enemies that you get into battle. So some of them will just straight up be trying to hammering you with attacks, but there'll always be a selection of enemies on screen. So it could be that you've got 2 healers that are going up against something that's got armour and lots of HP. So do you focus on trying to pummel the big beefy enemy that's going to pummel you, or do you try and get rid of those healers first? And depending on how many enemies there are in the wave and like the order of the wave as it pops up, if you get rid of those 2 healers, you might end up with 3 big beefy ones. You don't quite know until you get there. You do get a heads up of the type of enemies that are going to occur in this wave, so it kind of gives you a little bit of a I know that this is coming style of forward planning, but you'll never know the exact order of when something will arrive. The cards themselves are huge in variety. So some of them will be very quick fire auto guns, then you've got some lasers which take some time to regenerate, or it could be that actually you pick the ammo card and change that with the reload card and maybe the damage up card, and so you can constantly replenish the ammo of the damage up card so that everything in this wave of enemies can be pummeled much quicker. But obviously whilst you're doing that, you aren't necessarily firing out all of your attacks, so you've got to make sure that your shield is there beforehand before you kind of fall off the wagon. This becomes increasingly difficult from after easy and normal mode. The actual hard and insane modes are very quick to basically have you over a barrel, and so you'll need to make sure that you don't just idly like smash all of the different cards and hope for the very best. You do need to think about, how do I buff out all of my cards so that they make the best impact for what's available. There's about 30-ish cards in total. There are 2 different ships as well. The first ship, Void Grimm, feels really well balanced because you can go for a defensive or an aggressive or a buff related type thing and then go all guns blazing in at a later point. It feels well balanced. The second ship doesn't feel quite so well balanced because it's less around attacking enemies, but it's more around status effects and freezing of time, and it didn't translate nearly as well to me as the main ship, which this game has been clearly built around. If this game is going to receive further updates, I would like to see additional ships with a total different playstyle, because I do think it warrants the ability to have these different ships that make you think about things differently. It just lacks any tutorial to kind of make you go, okay, so I need to think about and reframe how I play this game in this perspective. And I was trying to copy across what I'd been doing for the previous hour into this new ship, which didn't really make very much sense for me. The other thing that I'd say as well is that this game can devolve down into just click everything and hope for the best. You need to pull yourself away from that because in the harder difficulties it doesn't really work quite so well. But there is still merit in just spending all of your resources trying to like very quickly smash around stuff. And in that case you kind of think, well, is this really a real-time strategy game? Or am I just trying to juggle all of the cards and get myself through things as quickly as possible? I still think strategy is heavily involved. You just need to pre-plan what you're going to do going in and hope for the best. Thankfully, the random number generation isn't too harsh in this game. It does feel relatively well balanced, and I think it offers something different to the fold. Won't be for everyone because you need to be quick on the draw with what's going on around you and not think too hard. And so therefore you're going to be a bit surface deep, I would say, but it offered something different and unique for me, and for that I give it a thumbs up. Void Grimm, out on PC. Any comments or questions, leave them down below. Written review will be over on higherplanegames.com. Take care. Higher Plane Games is part of the Higher Plane Network, a completely independent media outlet supported by people like you. The goal is to create the best possible content that cultivates a richer indie scene for games as well as music and entertainment. To find out more and to get involved, visit patreon.com/higherplane-network. Your support makes all the difference, and in return you'll gain access to bonus content and downloads. Thank you for watching.